What is going on, Walk-ins Welcome fam? It's Nick and Michael back for another episode of Walk-ins Welcome, where we help you triple your patient volume. We do that through new patients, repeat patients, exceptional patient experience.
There you go.
And scale.
There you go.
There you go. And I said that a little slower, mainly because I'm medicated and cracked out right now.
Cracked out. Let's keep that on the
Tis the season to get the crud. We talked about this a few episodes, Michael, where I said
we spoke it into existence.
I did. I totally did. And it's been going around my house. It's been going around Devin's house.
I've had a little bit at my house.
Yeah.
So talking about the crud, because most of us have been COVID tested at this point. We're all negative, but it's funny because last week I wasn't feeling great. It was just all up in my head. Like my body felt fine.
Right.
It was just like and you can still hear bits of it.
Right.
And then like my daughter got sick for like a day, which is weird for
Kids are resilient.
I know, but it's weird for like a 4-year-old to get sick and then just next day, like, what happened? And then my wife hasn't gotten sick at all. And then you got
Good
sick,
for her.
right?
Actually, I hope she doesn't.
That's good for her. With her heart condition, we'll take whatever we got.
That's right.
But and then you started getting sick. Then Devin's son got sick, negative for COVID. And then Kelsey, one of our newest hires, she said yesterday, I'm not feeling great. And then this morning she texted me, hey, I'm going to take a sick day because I do not feel good. It's like, okay. So tis the season. Tis the season.
Total side note here. I went to look at getting into an urgent care yesterday, and the one that I wanted to go to didn't have an online scheduler, so I wound up not going.
You just waited, right?
Well, it's just because of where we live. I'm like, I'm only going if I can get an online scheduler, and the ones nearest to me didn't have online schedulers, and I'm like, I'm not filling out all this paperwork. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
But I know with like a Solve or an Athena or like a Clockwise, Xperity, whatever, like I can just put it in there. I don't have to wait till when I get there, they'll have it. I know that sounds stupid, but at the same time, like I just didn't feel like filling out a bunch of freaking paperwork.
Exactly. It's a real thing.
Has nothing to do with this episode at all, but I found that interesting that like I chose not to go to an urgent care because I didn't want to deal with the paperwork.
Well, so even Devin said that his son had gone to a local urgent care, been to him before, and they literally said, we're kind of slammed. Can you we'll set you a time to come back tomorrow at 11, and he did. Mm-hmm. So like, tis the season. It's pretty rare for an urgent care to turn somebody away, but I guess they were full.
Yeah,
and so that's a cool, it's
so
good and bad, right?
I have to wonder though, if that front desk person that says we're slammed to come back tomorrow, and the person who owned the urgent care were on the same page on that.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying?
Please take them.
I've got 3 or 4 stories I could rattle off now that I'm not going to.
But let's change the mindset, right? So today's episode is about mindset more than anything, where it's all based on The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek.
And I really believe that dude is like the thought leader of our generation.
He is definitely the new version of who's the
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. He's the modern version of John Maxwell. He's kind of like the Caleb. You won't know this, but the Caleb Hammer of Dave Ramsey. So Caleb Hammer, I follow him on TikTok. He is the new version of Dave Ramsey, but he's like super blunt with you, like cuss words. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Pulling up their bill and their statements of what is this, and just yelling at them. But he's like 30, and so he's just.
I'm okay with it.
I've been following him for like a year plus, and in the past 6 months, he exploded. And so he's getting thousands of likes on everything he posts.
I have to go check him out.
He's really good. Yeah. Like because he's real animated. So he's like his hair starts shaking, yelling at you.
Right.
It's kind of fantastic. But yeah, so Simon Sinek, he is the modern version of John Maxwell, and he's great. And I think you said this too. He has such a fascinating voice. Like when you listen to him.
Yeah.
But just go look up Simon Sinek. Like his stuff is. It's like, man, why didn't I think of that? Or why is this so simple all of a sudden?
It seems so obvious.
Yeah, he pulls the obvious out and makes it a priority, and it just it changes your mind.
Well, one of the things that has been happening in the urgent care space literally since COVID is there's been a massive amount of competition that have entered in the space. Like you can see urgent cares popping up on every corner.
Yeah, and they're all like pretty good.
Yeah, and you have the ERs that are opening up urgent care spaces on top of that. So hospital systems that are getting involved, not understanding that it's a completely different game. But it got me thinking, like that is one of the number one concerns that our urgent cares that we deal with are coming against is competition. And I thought we would take some time in this episode to talk about how your competition isn't necessarily a bad thing. Simon Sinek wrote the book, The Infinite Game. Now he's wrote a bunch of books, but this one really resonated with me as a business owner. And the whole premise of the book, you need to go read it yourself. I highly recommend it.
It's been out for a little while.
It's been out for a while, but years now at this point. But the fascinating thought is like people think, like in terms of a football game or a soccer game or a baseball game, there's a start, there's a whole thing, and then there's the end of the game, whether you win or lose.
Yes.
And business is not like this at all.
No.
The game has already been going on forever.
You just entered it.
And you can play better, worse, equal to,
or different,
any of that. At any time, somebody else can enter in your game that you think you're the main player in the game. Anybody can enter it. Anybody can exit it. Anybody can dominate it. Anybody can change the game at any time. Completely change the game at any time. And there's no end.
Yeah. So it makes me think about like how IBM ruled the world.
Yeah.
And now they're not even considered from like a personal standpoint. Commercial, they got their own little niche, but IBM.
Pardon the coughs, by the way. I apologize in advance.
The last of the cold, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's right.
But IBM has, been that they were like the thing back in the, I guess, 70s, 80s, and then now they're there. Like
right.
It's like even you take your top. I think I was reading an article this morning. By the way, if you want a really, really fun, educated email coming your way regularly, go to Robinhood and sign up for their snacks email.
Oh, yeah, Robinhood snacks.
The snacks are great because the way they write it, it's just amazing. Like this is really funny. They know their audience, and but they were talking about NVIDIA. So like NVIDIA became like this juggernaut in the stock market in the past year because of AI chip making, and they had a stat that basically 95% of AI chips. And when we say AI chips, like the actual hardware that's running AI software, 95% was NVIDIA, which is wild. But then they followed up with a sentence later, but Apple, Microsoft, everybody is in the game, Intel, AMD, everybody's in the game. Microsoft announced that they will only use AMD chips moving forward. And so that 95% is about to flip on its head really fast.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like you give it 6 months and that 95% will probably become 85%.
Right.
And then 80%. And then it starts dividing again.
Every once in a while, something will pop up in my news feed, either on Facebook or TikTok or something like that. And it'll just show over the years the progression of top companies.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? You see them fluctuate. It's like, man, here's this business that didn't even exist that now dominates.
Yeah.
Tesla would be one of those, right?
Yeah,
you see it just come out of nowhere.
Or like Google. Google's only 25 years old.
Exactly. McDonald's was on there. Walmart. Now Walmart's not even a blip on the radar anymore.
Yeah. Which is just
Amazon that came out of nowhere and took it over. That's the infinite game.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were talking about.
There is, and that's that mindset of there's no pigeonholing here.
Right.
You can be like, there are things that are standard to us now that were super foreign to us 5-10 years ago.
Right.
I think of Zoom. Like pre-COVID, Zoom was just something you did. Like we didn't all know about Zoom. COVID kicked on, they became the dominant player.
Right.
And now they've faded a little bit. Like
they have a little bit. I think the most ironic thing about Zoom that makes me laugh is that they made all of their employees come back to in office. Which
I saw that.
Which is like,
yeah, and I'm like, but you're online anyway. But
we're getting way off on there. But
it's just like here's the examples of the infinite game in action that you experience every single day, and you don't realize it. Like the phone that you're holding. Like everybody, what you're listening to us on right now is probably on an iPhone. 20 years ago, Apple was just a computer company.
Yeah, 2009 is when it was invented.
Yeah, it became a thing. Like
they called it the Jesus phone, which I still think is funny. I remember all that.
The Jesus phone.
That's right.
But like you're listening to this right now.
That would definitely be an Android phone.
Yeah, that's so like we should edit that one. But you're listening to us right now on a device that was a complete disruptor, where it was just completely controlled by Nokia and Windows Phone and BlackBerry. That was the big one. BlackBerry's gone.
Oh, they're totally gone.
And Nokia is just on their own world right now.
Well, Nokia was bought by Microsoft, weren't they?
Maybe. I don't know.
Pretty sure Microsoft bought them and then ended it. But all right, look, I got some bullet points. Let's do this. Let's do this episode. So the infinite mindset, I've kind of laid it up. The game has been going forever. There is no beginning and there is no end. People can come and they can go as they please and change it at any time. So there's some shifts in some mindset. I remember, Michael, when I was growing up, urgent cares didn't exist. Like, we went to our doctor.
I mean, urgent cares are probably 30 years old.
Right.
The industry.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the term.
Yeah, and when I was growing up, I mean, we went there just wasn't an urgent care. I remember getting stitches. We had to call my doctor.
There was a family doctor.
And they had to make room for us to come in that day because there was no urgent care to stitch up my chin.
I remember going to the same pediatrician my entire life growing up.
Right.
Sitting in that same room and then watching like all these kids playing with these things that I played with when I was like 5 years old.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there like a 15-year-old.
And now I just want to go back and play with the little thing.
The color metal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. I see them now when I take my kids or something like that. I don't take them a lot. My wife does, but I'll see it. And I'm like, I want to go over there and sit on the floor and play.
Especially the cheese wheel one with all the holes in
Stop
it.
it.
Yeah,
I know
exactly
what you're talking about. All right. So let's start with the first bullet point here that we put together is a finite versus an infinite mindset. And I have to say finite and infinite. I don't know why.
Infinite. Don't you just love the English language?
I do. A finite mindset is a clinic focused solely on like short-term metrics. Maybe you're focused on your patient volume for the month or your quarterly revenue. An infinite mindset is one where an urgent care might prioritize long-term goals. Maybe they're thinking about how can I have a positive impact on the health in the area that I serve?
Yeah.
Right? How can I make our obesity rates go down? How can I make healthcare more accessible to people who are underserved? Or you name it, right? Mm-hmm. The goal is to continually improve and adapt and not just meet immediate targets, but to have a bigger vision. That's an infinite mindset over just hitting revenue goals.
Yeah, because I think the goal there is think beyond the walls around you.
Mm-hmm.
How can you impact those around you in the community beyond the patients that come in your door?
Right.
And that's sometimes hard to think about too, because like when you're in that minutia of every day, like looking at numbers and making sure your patients are taken care of and your staff is taken care of, and then you're just tired at the end of the day to kind of deal with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but there's, I think with this mindset, you increase the likelihood of not burning out,
right?
Because you kind of have that bigger focus. Like
there's the why behind the what, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, like it's cool to make $1, and it's cool to have a staff and have a company put your name to it. But that grows old over time because if you're not seeing the fruits of your labor beyond what's in that wall, like it kind of gets burned out.
It's funny. We talked about this literally when I first walked in today, where I said it's not the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit is happiness.
Yeah,
like that. I like that thought process, and that just shifts of like I'm not trying to pursue the dollar bill. I'm finding my value in the pursuit itself.
Yes,
in the serving the patient, in the impacting my community, right? In the leadership of a team that's growing and I'm building into their character, right? So like that's the pursuit. In addition to making money, that's the byproduct, not the end goal.
Well, I mean, thinking about ourselves, like we're big on culture here.
Exactly.
And we're also big on protecting your time. Like as a company, our staff has protected time. And it's almost like we're a recovery unit for these people that have been in rough situations.
Yeah.
Our most recent hire had a situation similar, and it was just, she now drinks tea again. She now drinks coffee again. She said she abandoned it because of the previous place. And so, like, I can relate. I was in the same boat. I was terrified of caffeine because I was so on edge already. I didn't want to induce that more. So
now she's so bored, we're trying to just keep her awake.
Yes.
It won't last that long.
Yeah,
it won't be that way for long.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right, do the just cause, because I love this bullet point.
All right, so I'm going to read a little bit, right? So examples of the clinic for just cause. Develop a clear mission that goes beyond simply treating patients. Just cause can be providing accessible, high-quality care to improve community health and well-being. This mission drives the clinic's decisions and initiatives, ensuring they are aligned with a greater purpose.
So Mercy Urgent Care is really good at this.
Yes, they had a really cool. What was their phrase?
I don't remember the whole phrase. You'll have to go back and listen to the episode. The whole point of that though is they were mission minded.
Yes.
Right. Their goal. I have no problem with your goal being finances. I want to state that I have no problem with that.
And there's a place for that.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
You can't serve if you're not profitable.
And maybe you want to make a big old freaking pile of cash because you want to make an impact somewhere outside of your clinic. Okay?
Yeah,
so I don't really care that money's your goal, but the just cause. For like a Mercy Urgent Care, they want to make an impact on their community and make it affordable for people who can't otherwise afford healthcare. That is a just cause. That's people could rally behind that.
And they have.
Yeah, they have and do.
When you go listen to that episode, you'll hear about how their entire, not just staff, but just local community believes in it.
Right.
And they can, and the way they did it, each person can define it slightly differently in their own way, which is pretty cool. Because like at the end of the day, when you have a motto, a just cause situation, and it impacts people individually, where they can say, "Well, this is what's happened to me because of it." I mean, that's a much bigger picture than what your original goal was.
You know, I don't talk about. I'm not, and I won't go into detail here. But there's some things that we as a company we do around the holidays, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But we don't publicize that. We don't put it out there. We're not using it to leverage. Hey, look at me, look at me. So therefore, that's not our reason for doing it.
It's fun.
But it was funny from somebody who you were talking about, Kelsey, just a minute ago. Kelsey has seen the public displays of the things that we do that are fun and cultural.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Because if you want to see our culture, mostly you go to social and you can see it.
That's right. But you don't get to see all of it because there's things that we do that we don't want to publicize because we don't. The Bible says don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing and giving. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. But when Kelsey came in and heard about some of the things that we do now that she's on the inside, she's like, oh my God, I had no idea that you guys did that. I love that. Yeah. Right.
And now it's so funny because we're at that point now where it's common knowledge to us because we've done it so long. And like, oh yeah, we do that too, by the way.
Right.
Like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, it's just things we do.
But that's part of that just cause built into our culture internally. That it's just who we are, right? I'm gonna skip over the trusting teams because I think that's self-explanatory, but I love the idea of worthy rivals. We have a few worthy rivals in the digital marketing space that I respect them. I think they're good at what they do.
Learn from them.
And I want to learn from them.
Yeah.
And they are my competition. So instead of viewing your clinics that are around you that are crushing it as just your competitions, what if you looked at an opportunity to say, hey, what are you doing right? What is it that we could be doing better if we did it that way? And what do we bring to the table that's different and unique? I think I love competition from the standpoint of a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if somebody out there is crushing it and killing it and getting it done and making a positive impact, I want to know what they're doing. I'm not going to be jealous of them. I think there's the seed, like, it's hard to explain. It's like, I want that, but that's not because I don't want you to have it. It's just, I want it too. Is that envy? Is that the word? I don't know the word for it.
Yeah. So I think of a recent example for ourselves. And then I'm going to talk about an example for urgent cares. So example for ourselves. So we're part of 7FA, which is a 7-figure agency. If y'all have listened, y'all have heard this mentioned a few times. And they brought on the last intensive. I was thinking about
just call it an event.
Yeah, the last event. And one of the main speakers that we honestly got some of the most info from was the biggest competitor in our space, Scorpion.
Right.
Scorpion Marketing is like the king of digital marketing agencies. Like, I think, $100 million a year, some crazy number. They touch all these verticals. Amazing. The main guy who was responsible for this growth spoke. And we were all like, well, obviously he did something right. And he gave us his strategy that was, to them, so it was monumental. And we're implementing it next week.
That's right.
And so, or next 2 weeks. And so it's super like at the end of the day, like that's like, Scorpion, you are a competitor. We've probably lost business because of you, but we respect you and we want to learn from you.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day.
And I really think we're good at what we do, but we're not so arrogant that we can't learn from other people. And I think if you have the mindset that I'm the doc or I'm the business owner or whatever, and we're going to do it the way I'm going to do it, and that's just the way it is, then I think you're missing real opportunity. You're probably still going to be successful. You're probably still going to make money, but you're going to have low reach and low impact.
Well, so talking about the urgent care side. So one unique advantage that urgent cares have is that their competitors are very tight. Like 5-10 mile radius is a competitor for them. Outside of that, like far less of a competitor because people don't travel for urgent care. They want convenience. And so when we go to UCA, it's full of a bunch of urgent cares, and they're all learning from each other. But I think about this. So the biggest competitor in your space is the red urgent care. It's the urgent care. It's red, and we all know who it is, and they're everywhere, right? There's good and bad things about that urgent care. Their scalability is good. Like they figured out something. Bad is because of scalability, personal touch, and some other things are missing. But I can tell you right now, if you're curious and you want to learn from them, go to their reviews and see what the reviews are talking about, the good and the bad. What are they consistently saying that's amazing about this company, and what are they consistently saying is really bad about this company? And those are the things you can take away and say, I need to do this, or I'm glad I'm not doing that.
That's such a ridiculous, easy application.
Yeah.
I've never even thought, hey, listen, go all the good things, go do that, and all the bad things, don't do that.
Or fix it. Do the opposite.
Yeah, fix it and promote it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, make it part of your campaign of why you're because here's the thing, not to burst the bubbles here, but customer service is not the differentiator as a business, because every single business, even urgent care, we work at urgent cares and non-urgent cares. What separates you from your brand, from your competitors? Customer service. What does that mean? I don't know.
There's a reason we will never market for a real estate agent.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 4,000 of them in Birmingham alone, and they all say the same thing, which is, I answer my phone when you call.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only thing that makes it.
I answer my phone. I'm always available.
Yeah, no, it's
and babe, it all changes. What already changed, right? The commission structures are gone. Now it's all, I'm gonna have to work for this now.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyway,
let's not get burned by those people.
All right, I don't want to do all of these, so I'm going to go through a couple of them. I like the courage to lead. You want to go through that one real quick?
Courage to lead. Leadership in urgent care requires making tough decisions. Yeah, every day, right?
Yeah.
That prioritizes patient well-being over short-term financial gains. So I'll just stop there. It's hard sometimes to look at a patient and not see a dollar sign, right?
I've got a good story whenever you're done.
Yeah, it's super hard to say that. But when you stop looking at your patient as a dollar sign and look at them as a human, the dollars will come later in different forms. A great example. So one of our clients, I won't mention names just because, but one of our clients, they've been a client for a while. And then Devin has a lot of kids. So that's why he comes up when his kids are sick, because he has 4 of them. So sick kids on a regular basis, right? Anyway, well, in this scenario, his wife was sick and she had an issue. They were looking at something, but they couldn't be too conclusive on it. So Devin's contact caught wind of this, went to the doctor that was closest to him, contacted the doctor, said, please call them and take care of them. Then the doctor calls Devin and his wife, and just no charge, just calls and goes through the symptoms again. Say, okay, I know what to do for you, and just takes care of it.
Nice.
And it wasn't a telemedicine thing. Like, it was just like, we're going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. We're not looking at the dollar signs. We're looking at the human right now. And to me, like, you know what that does? The loyalty that Devin and his family will have toward that urgent care just skyrocketed.
Right.
Where they'll make it inconvenient for themselves to go there. And that's huge.
They'll go out of their way. No doubt.
They would go all their way to do it every time. And I think we're all in the same boat. You treat me so well. You treat me a way I wasn't expecting. I'm going to make my efforts. So one, I'll talk about you probably a lot,
right?
Indirectly, not like it'll just come out. And then 2, I'm going to make it inconvenient for myself to make sure I use you almost every time.
Right. So when Preston, he's my middle child, was about 4 or 5. I can't remember how old he was. He was young. Fell in the bathtub and chipped his front tooth on what is the faucet.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it was a big old chunk of tooth. Like it was bad.
That makes me hurt.
Well, it looked bad. Anyway, Well, okay, that looks bad. His tooth is turning brown almost immediately.
Oh, that's wild,
right? So I was like, okay, this is odd. Well, there was a doctor that could see him right away. My dentist couldn't see him right away, and so we went to this new pediatric dentist. He's not far from here. It doesn't matter. He had just built a new business over there by the YMCA. Anyway, he had just built a new, a new dentist, young guy. And I went in there, and I had him, so I took him. I don't know where Heather was, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I took him in there, and he wanted to pull his tooth and do a root canal, 4 or 5 years old, okay, and do a root canal, and did a quote for like $2,800, okay, that my insurance wasn't going to cover.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, let me, is this urgent? No. All right. He's got a primary dentist open back up on Monday. Let me go there and make sure everything's okay first, okay, before I just do that. Dr. Tadin, who's my dentist, my family dentist, she's like, his tooth's gonna fall out. Ain't nothing wrong with his tooth. $30 copay. Get out of here. And by the way, it fell out, and he's totally fine.
So they didn't pull it or anything.
No, they just it was ugly for about 6-8 months, right, until it fell out. I mean, it was really nasty looking.
Like
but
brown.
Yeah, I've got old pictures. I'm going, ooh, that's hard to look at. But she saved me $2,800 because she wasn't trying to pay for a new facility and all this new equipment and dental school and all the things that she just went through. So the courage to lead, when we talk about leading through, you have to put the patient first.
Yep.
Not your priorities to pay off your bills or pay off this new equipment that you bought or whatever.
Or some weird incentive that you were given.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that guy was going to charge me $2,800 and not think a thing about it. And yes, we're in the business of making money. I'm not taking that away from him, but I have to ask
make the right money.
I have to ask the question: was he doing that for Preston or was he doing that for himself?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what I think. I don't know. I can't speak for him, but the perception, based on my dentist saying that tooth's going to fall out anyway. That's a baby tooth, and there's nothing wrong with the root on his. There's nothing wrong with him. Like, you can't help but think, with a brand new office, brand new equipment, that dude was trying to make some money. That's what it felt like, right? So,
I get it though too, because I think there are lots of pressures if a urgent care or any healthcare facility brings in a new piece of equipment. How do we maximize this?
Right.
And then I even had so I was talking to somebody yesterday through Health Tech Nerds, which, by the way, for those who are in the healthcare space, Health Tech Nerds is a really cool private Slack community. Slack is you go look up Slack. It's
a communication tool.
Yeah. It's like AOL Instant Messenger for business in the most crude way possible. But it's wonderful. But so it's all healthcare stuff. So I met a girl yesterday, and she was talking about how diagnostic centers are very, 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 very good at marketing because they have to fill those seats to pay for that equipment.
Right.
Because you're talking like millions of dollars worth of equipment, and they have investors who are pushing that envelope to say, this thing costs us $300,000 a month. You need to get X amount of patients to pay for. So there's pressure there, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's something wrong with it if they're forcing tests on you that just are not necessary because they just want to ping your insurance. Like, that's a real problem.
Probably the reason all of our insurances are so high.
Well, and that's, I have to say, so I'm always fascinated by the bill you get. So like I've been having to do the MRI thing a couple times now, which, as I was telling you, if you're claustrophobic, MRIs are terrifying.
I don't want anything to do with it.
Like, it's this close.
No.
And I was in one, and they're like, you're going to have to squeeze your arms in. So I had to do this for 20 minutes.
No.
It was a lot. But it was so fascinating to look at the bill because I just love how.
$40,000.
It was like $30,000
for a scan.
For a 20-minute scan from a machine that looked like it was 25 years old. And
it probably was 25 years old.
I mean, it looked like it had been beaten up a little bit. I think anyway. So, but then like the pre-approve or whatever was like $400 or like $2,000 what Blue Cross paid, and I had to pay actually nothing because of my secondary gap insurance stuff. But it's just amazing to watch. I don't know where. Oh yeah. So at the end of the day, like, did they feel pressure to do that, to like scan my back? Not necessarily. Like, it was like, we need to make sure. I like it this way. My spine surgeon said, I can do surgery on you, but I don't want to.
Right.
I want to see.
Wait, that's radically different than what happened to Heather when she had hurt her back with the same issue.
Yeah.
She had what is it called? A bulging disc.
Yeah.
And
I had a herniated disc, but yeah.
That's what she had.
Yeah.
That's what she had. And that dude, I had never met him. She had never met him. We came in because she was in that level of pain. He goes, I can take you right back and we can cut you open and get your back fixed. And I'm going, kill the motor there, Turbo.
Yeah.
I don't know you. I'm not letting you put a knife in my wife's back.
Yeah.
And we left, man. We left.
Yeah. So, like, this guy was very, and now, granted, when I came to him, I was still in pain, but not the level of pain that I was part of. And he even said,
you look like a wilted flower for a long time.
It was brutal. Sciatic pain nerve is intense. Anyway, he even said with the herniated disc and sciatic pain, it's like the only way the surgery would have been successful out of the gate if I got you the day it happened. He said after that, the chances go down dramatically. Me fixing the issue completely.
Right.
And then he just said, he said, I can go in and I can do this, this, and this, but I really want you to pursue PT. I want you to pursue this different pain blocker. I want you to pursue these things before we even attempt surgery. He said, I can do it, but I just don't want to.
Right.
And so now I've been meeting him 8 months now, and I'm on my third meeting with him, and he's like, all right, things are pretty good. We're down to just some numbness in the leg area. I want you to do this, this, and this, and tell your PT to try that, and then we'll do one more scan, and we'll go from there.
Right.
I'm like, okay. So, yeah. Radically different. He was, because if he ran a surgery, that's like $80,000, not necessarily in his pocket, but like that's a nice little charge he can add to his clinic.
Yeah.
But he chose to do things that had nothing to do with his clinic.
Right.
Like he sent me to an MRI at a hospital. He sent me to he had no impact on that. Like he wasn't going to receive a dollar amount maybe from that. And PT, they don't tell you where to go. They say go pick one.
Well, I mean the Hippocratic Oath, right?
Yeah.
First, do no harm. Which actually brings us to the last one that I really want to talk about on this episode is resilience over short-term success. Right? I mean, that matches right up with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He sends you to multiple places instead of just taking the quick dollar. I like to look at it as, do you want to get a golden egg or do you want to build a golden goose that lays golden eggs?
Exactly.
Right? So that's the way I think of it when I think of resilience, long-term resilience over quick dollars, okay? You can go out into your community and you can spin up an urgent care and you can grow it, or you can build a brand in that community where it will serve you because of the way you serve that community. That community will come back to you over and over and over again, and they'll constantly be paying you for your services. And I would much rather have that than the quick upsell.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah, I even think about how there was a story in, I think, Texas where they had flooding or electrical. It's something always going on in Texas. But the furniture company was like, they were serving thousands of meals a day out of their furniture store to the community that had no power, had no whatever was going on. And they interviewed the owner. He's like, man, you got to take care of your people. I'm not here to sell furniture right now. I'm here to take care of my community. And the response was, I love this guy. I used to work for him. He is the real deal.
Right.
And then, you know what's going to happen? If that furniture store ever faces a problem, that community will come in. Like, what do we need to buy from you to make you keep going? Like, you know, that's going to how it would go down. But you know what? That took time. That wasn't like an overnight success thing. That took years for that community to see that and respect that.
Yeah, that's resilience, right?
Yep.
Built over time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think people get short-sighted of that because I feel like a lot of companies, especially ones that may have been invested in, they want to hop in and in 5 years hop out,
right,
and move on with life to their next adventure. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for something bigger than that, something community-based, something where you can get back to, yeah, you're going to have to dig in and hold on and go all in for years. Like, it isn't just a quick turn.
Love it.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of communities, are you a part of our Facebook community?
Look at that transition.
Are you?
Pretty good.
Hey, look, if you haven't gone to our Facebook group, Walk-ins Welcome, a marketing resource for urgent
healthcare
cares.
marketing resource.
I want to invite you to do that now. Go do a quick search, fill out the survey. We're not going to allow any spam in there. We're not going to allow any marketing in there. That's not the point of it. It's for us to discuss ideas. and for other urgent cares to talk to other urgent cares about marketing. So that's the whole point of it. We are trying to grow it and build that community, and we want to invite you to do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That means a lot to us. That lets us know that
you can see our pretty faces instead of just listening.
And we're spending a lot of time trying to build out really good content for you to serve you well. We would also love to hear, like, what is it you need help with? hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com.
Yep.
That'll go to Michael. Michael will get it in front of us, and we'll put our minds together and see what we can do to help you.
Yeah. And also, if you know anybody that wants to come and join the podcast, especially, we want more urgent care owners in this podcast.
That's our goal.
That is, if we were going to set a goal right now for guests, like, we like guests and we like vendor guests and all things, but we've been lacking on the urgent care owner guest. Love to have you come in. Just talk about your urgent care. Now, you don't have to give away your secret sauce. You don't have to. I mean, you can if you want, but talk about your challenges. Talk about what's been working, what hasn't been working, or some good lessons. Like, at the end of the day, let's help the other urgent care. One thing, vendors can help to a degree, but urgent care owner to urgent care owner always makes an impact. And we've seen that in the past. Love to have more on there. If you know anybody, just send them our way and we'll talk to them.
Hey, don't just look at worthy rivals. Become a worthy rival.
Yeah.
Right? Hop on the podcast and become that, because you can really help people and it makes you worthy. All right?
I like it.
All right. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.